Welcome to Time to Vote, a discussion about registration, education, and voting. This presentation is sponsored by the League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan organization that encourages people to be informed citizens and participants in our democracy. Students play a crucial role in our democracy, and the League of Women Voters has a voter registration grant program that has been active since 2010. And leagues around the country have registered tens of thousands of soon-to-be 18 and 18-year-olds. This program focuses on registering and informing students in high schools, community colleges, as well as those that do not traditionally register or turn out to vote. Let's get started. Today's goals are: in this time of coronavirus, schools are closing around the nation, and the summer and fall months may provide their own challenges as well. We can still make an impact by adapting how we participate in the democratic process. Virtual learning is critical to the needs of our society at this time, and we hope that this will serve as a way to inform and encourage those students to register. Also, to provide concrete steps and resources for how to participate in the next election and the elections to come. Let's start off by asking a few questions. In your opinion, how are our leaders handling things? What are the issues that concern you today? What injustices do you see in our community? Maybe another way to put it, what do you care about? Maybe it's roads, renewable energy, traffic, public safety, our environment. Some may be interested in college expenses, swimming pools, minimum wage, race relations, or maybe even childcare. While others could be concerned about gender issues, immigration rights, public transportation, the justice system, or even health care. This is not meant to be a complete list, but a catalyst to get us to focus on issues that we don't normally think about. Which level of government oversees the issues that you care about? Is it local or state government, or possibly federal or national government? While some of these issues we just mentioned may cross over into multiple jurisdictions, it's important to acknowledge that all levels of government are important to consider. What can we do to affect changes in those areas of government? Maybe change legislation, run for an office, help an election campaign, or a few ideas. One thing that we can all do is vote. Every election is important, and the results will affect you and your family and your futures. When you vote, you have the ability to change the issues that you care about. A question to consider is, will you and the people you know vote in the next election? So who is going to vote? Think about you and your friends. Imagine this is a group of all your friends that are eligible to vote. That means all of them are U.S. citizens and are 18 years or older. How many of your friends have not registered? According to statistics, 1/3 of those between the ages of 18 to 24 will not register. In our picture, that is represented by the yellow boxes. Imagine that. All of the yellow boxes you see here represent all of your friends that will not take the 3 minutes necessary to get registered online. And in Kansas, your registration needs to be completed 21 days prior to the election that you want to vote in. So now let's consider how many of our friends left will actually show up on election day. Let's take a look at that same photo. In addition, these blue boxes represent the additional 1/3 of your friends that for whatever reason won't vote. And just to clarify, these people will take the time to register, but when it comes time to election day, they don't vote. As we look at our remaining friends, these may represent the only ones left that actually take the time to register and to vote. So one thing that will make a big change in your future is to encourage everyone to register and to vote. So let's view voter turnout from another interesting perspective. On this slide, we're going to look at the projected percentage of voting population by generation in 2020. And the source of this information comes from the Pew Research Center. So Gen Z represents the 18-24-year-olds that will account for 10% of the voting population. Millennials, 27%. These two generations together account for 37% of all eligible voters. That means that those between the ages of 18 to 39 have an unprecedented opportunity to affect the outcome of the election. Let's continue with the rest of this pie chart. Gen X, 25%. Baby boomers, 28%. And our last group is a silent generation, those that are 75 years and older, 9%. Here's another interesting perspective about this chart. These two generations together account for the same percentages as the millennials and Gen Z, 37%. The difference is that the silent generation and baby boomers have a proven track record of showing up to vote on election day. Other Pew Research studies show how those that are 56 or older turn out the highest percentage of voters consistently over the younger voter population. That's like letting your grandparents or even your great-grandparents make decisions about your future. While this chart gives us an interesting idea of potential voting power, let's talk about a few more compelling statistics. This chart shows the percentage of 18 to 24-year-olds that have participated in various forms of political engagement. Signing a petition has increased from 34% to 48%. Following a candidate or campaign on social media, 16 to 23%. Displaying a sticker or a sign that supports a candidate, 12 to 14%. Attending a demonstration or a march, 5% to 15%. These numbers demonstrate a generation that cares about the future of democracy. Caring about the future of democracy is one thing. How do we begin to make actual change? And another important question to ask, are you registered to vote? Do you know that in most states you only have to register once and you are registered for life? As long as you vote consistently, you would only need to re-register if you move or if you change your name. Some of you may be asking, can I register to vote? You can register to vote today if you are a U.S. citizen and 18 years old on or before Election Day. And just to clarify, in order to vote in a primary or general election in Kansas, you have to submit your voter registration 21 days prior to that election. Also be aware, if you register before you turn 18, you may not see your registration online or in the system, so to speak, until you actually turn 18. Let's see if we can make this easier to understand. Let's take a look at a simple example. Let's imagine that we register on July 3rd, and our 18th birthday is on September 15th. Okay, so far so good. Now, there are two elections coming up, the primary election on August 4th and the general election on November 3rd. So don't forget, our birthday's on September 15th. Therefore, we will not be eligible to vote at the primary election. Even though we registered the 21 days prior to the election, we won't be able to vote because we were not 18 on the election date. However, we will be able to vote in the general election because we've registered and we've had our 18th birthday. All right, now that we understand if we can register, let's consider an actual registration. The easiest and quickest way to register is ksvotes.org. On this site, you have the ability to register, verify your registration, update a name change or change of address, even change your party affiliation, all online and no paper to print out. A few other sites available are the Kansas Secretary of State's website, sos.kansas.gov, the Johnson County Election Office, jocoelection.org, as well as the Wyandotte County Election Office, wycoKCK.org. To register, simply go to ksvotes.org. All you need, a Kansas driver's license or Kansas ID or the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. Enter all your information, sign your name, submit your form, and that's it. If you would like additional assistance, go to YouTube and search "How to register to vote online in Kansas." Here's a screenshot of the search on YouTube and a view of the video. Also, here's a screenshot of the KS Votes website. If you would like to take a moment to watch the YouTube video or to check out the KS Votes site, please pause the video now, and once you're finished, please continue this video. We will be sharing information on a few other websites that will be helpful in the actual voting process. Did you register to vote? Let us know. On Facebook, search for the League of Women Voters, Johnson County, KS. Our website, lwvjoco.org. or you can email us at lwvjocovr@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Another very helpful website is vote411.org. This website will provide helpful information that will be specific to where you live and the ballot measure specific to your neighborhood. You can see what's on your ballot, check your voter registration, find your polling place, discover upcoming debates in your area, and so much more. Simply enter your address to get started. As a side note, wondering if you're familiar with the usage of the term 411. So back in the day of the home telephone, way back when there was still a cord between the base and the handset, yeah, way back then. Well, you used to be able to dial 411 on the telephone, and an information operator would answer, and you could ask them for a phone number or even an address of a particular person or a place of business. So, there you have it. Now you know why the term 411 is synonymous with the word information. Oh, and one more thing about this website. It can be used by anyone in the United States. It's not specific to just Kansas. Vote 411 has a few other features. If you want to know the latest coronavirus-related changes, go to vote411.org/coronavirus. This page is updated as changes occur. Other features: you can check your registration status and request an advanced ballot. You can get first-time voter checklist, as well as detailed candidate information at all levels: federal, state, and local elections. Use Vote 411 to make a plan. Don't wait until Election Day to review information or check out voting options. For example, what kind of ID should I bring with me to the polls? When is the next election? What am I voting on? Where can I vote? It's important that if you are voting in person on Election Day, that you go to your specific voting location. That way, the ballot that you use will have all of your city's local election ballot measures. What if I'm going away to college, or I'm not in town on Election Day? During our presentation, whenever you see this logo, it means that the information being presented can also be found at vote411.org. Voters are required to show photo ID when voting in person at the polls. Acceptable forms of ID include a driver's license issued by any state in the United States, state-issued ID card, a U.S. passport, local, state, or federal ID badge, U.S. military ID, Kansas student ID from an accredited post-secondary institution of education in Kansas, local, state, or federal public assistance ID card, concealed carry license, an ID card issued by an Indian tribe, and finally, if you know someone that is 65 years or older, they may use an expired photo ID. Let's discuss the upcoming elections. The primary election, Tuesday, August 4th, 2020. And before we continue, a little background on the term primary. This is a word used for a type of an election to represent either a time to narrow the field of candidates for a given elective office, or to determine the nominees for political parties in advance of the general election. Another way to think about it is as if the parties are saying, this is our primary candidate we are putting forward to represent us. The partisan primary election are for those that are designated specific parties. Unaffiliated voters will have to make a selection of a party to vote in the primary. If you vote in person, you will have to make that decision after checking in and before you are given a ballot. If you are requesting an advance ballot, you will have to make that selection on the request form. The general election, Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020, will be a presidential general election. Remember, during these unconventional times, you may apply for an advance ballot or take advantage of early voting. A wonderful benefit of early voting is once a ballot is received at the election office, the candidate campaigns stop calling and mailing election materials. As a Kansas voter, you have certain rights that are available to you. Voting rights, as well as the right to ask questions. Even if your name is not on the voter list, you have the right to ask for a provisional ballot. If you are in line when the polls close, you have the right to vote. Usually, an election worker will stand behind the last person in line when the polls close to inform those that may potentially arrive after the closing of the polls. Also, voters have the right to take advantage of early and advanced ballot options. As we have mentioned previously, these may be valuable options to avoid long lines as well as risking spreading germs. Get help casting your ballot. Just be sure to mention to any of the poll workers you see. Get a new ballot. If you've made a mistake before you cast your ballot, in some cases, the electronic forms of voting will allow you to verify your selection before casting the paper ballot. And you always have the ability to double-check the paper ballot before you cast it. As far as asking questions, you have the right to ask questions anytime in the election process. Whether that's contacting your local election office by phone, website, going to the election office, or if at the polls, asking to speak to an election worker. Remember, please feel free to bring your information with you into the polls to help you vote. Some people bring their smartphones to search for information while in the voting booth. Others bring copies of partial ballots from newspapers or websites. Voters also have the right to watch the election process. One example of this could be to sit in an election office as they review the advanced ballots mailed in. Check with your local election office for potential opportunities. Please report any illegal or fraudulent election activity that you may be aware of to the appropriate election office. For more information, please check out the national hotline 866-OUR-VOTE or their website lawyerscommittee.org. Another way to participate in the election process is to apply to be an election worker. Play an active and important role in your community and potentially earn extra money. Election workers are a critical part of the election process. Students age 16 and up may be election workers. For the most up-to-date information, please visit these websites. For Johnson County, jocoelection.org, and Wyandotte County, wycokkck.org. As a quick review of our presentation today, we've discussed 3 basic steps to making your voice heard: register, plan, and finally vote. Take advantage of the website KS Votes to register and request an advance ballot. And then vote 411 to get candidate and ballot information, as well as polling locations if you want to choose in-person voting. Here again are the websites discussed today, as well as a few additional ones that have information focused on civic education in the classroom. Also, a special thank you to the various League of Women voter groups around the country for providing the template and guide used to create this presentation. And finally, thanks for watching today and helping make our democracy more informed. Also, check out our YouTube channel, League of Women Voters, Johnson County, Kansas, for more additional videos. And don't forget, your vote matters. See you on Election Day!